FIFA 23 is just around the corner, so I've compiled a guide of one realistic rebuild in each confirmed league for career mode. We'll start in Argentina with Lionel Messi's first club, Newell's Old Boys. Plenty of players have recently chosen to return back to their boyhood club for the final stages of their career, like Messi's former teammate Luis Suarez at Nacional. Outside of the Messi storyline, place a heavy focus on signing youth academy players primarily from Argentina and signing players from other leagues in South America like Colombia, Uruguay, Chile, and Peru. On the other side of the world is Australia, and I think the A-League deserves more recognition in the career mode space. One of, if not the most supported clubs there, is Melbourne Victory. They haven't won the league since the 17-18 season, but just had a massive signing with Luis Nani joining the club. You've got two big derbies, one with Melbourne City FC, who have seen a steady rise with the city ownership group, and also with Sydney FC, as Melbourne and Sydney are the two largest cities in Australia. RB Salzburg have dominated the Austrian Bundesliga lately, but you'll be looking to change that with an Austria Wien career mode. They're the second most successful Austrian club behind Rapid Wien, and have some solid young players from their youth academy like Matthias Braunode, who has been linked to a move away to the German Bundesliga. Combine that with some nice kits and a unique badge, you've got a solid long-term save. Anderlecht's summer headlines largely came as a result of Vincent Kompany leaving for England to manage Burnley in the championship. However, they are still Belgium's most successful club and haven't won the league since 16-17. They have once again brought in some high-potential youngsters, including Fabio Silva and Sebastiano Esposito on loan, in addition to older, well-known players like Jan Vertonghen. With the introduction of a salary cap and many foreign players choosing to leave, the Chinese Super League doesn't have the appeal it used to. However, Shanghai Port still has the largest budget and some notable players like Oscar. I would use it as a starting point in a journeyman save or a 5-continent challenge. FC Copenhagen are back in the Champions League for the first time since the 16-17 season, and combine that with the fact that they are just one league title away from tying the Danish league record, you've got a pretty promising save. Andreas Cornelius, a former Copenhagen Youth Academy player, has returned this season as a solid scorer with 10+ goals in the last 2 of 3 years. Rooney Bardakji is also a heavily anticipated addition to career mode and will probably be added in a later squad update once he turns 17 in November. We'll kick off our first club from a top 5 league with Leicester City. The Foxes have seen 2 massive departures, with longtime captain Kasper Schmeichel leaving for Nice and Wesley Fofana heading to Chelsea on a large transfer fee. As things stand, Leicester are bottom of the Premier League, partly due to their lack of signings in the summer, but with a strong previous track record, we could see some additions in January. A Premier League squad as recently as the 16-17 season, Sunderland have found consistency in recent years. After a third League One playoff appearance in 4 seasons, they are back in the championship, and your goal will be to get them back to the Premier League and build upon their rivalry with Newcastle. Derby County has had a difficult few seasons. Financial problems left the club on the brink of extinction, ultimately settling on a massive points deduction, which contributed to their relegation from the championship last year. Their head coach Wayne Rooney has also left for MLS, and many of their players departing on a free transfer, so you're going to need to rely on some bargain deals and your youth academy as you rebuild the squad. Road to Glory fans, you're in luck because there are several good options for career mode in League 2. Salford City is still my pick, as you can build upon the club's ownership by the class of 92. Look for Manchester United players available on loan or even on a permanent deal as you work your way up the English football leagues. Olympique Lyon are coming off of a disappointing season. 8th place is their lowest league finish since the 90s, but there are some incredible storylines from the 22-23 season. The return of former players such as Lacazette and Tolisso can push your team to topple PSG and try to match the club's record 6 consecutive Ligue 1 titles. Saint-Etienne have developed some incredible young players in recent years, but that didn't stop them from relegation from France's top division last season. It's quite sad to see, as they are tied with PSG for the most league titles with 10. A solid pick for a road to glory. Try to win more Ligue 1 titles than any other French team by the end of your save. Located in Germany's capital city, Union Berlin was made for the people and saved by the people. Since earning promotion to the Bundesliga in 2019, the side has been one of the most successful newly promoted teams in the history of the league. After qualifying for the inaugural season of the UEFA Conference League, they're going to take the step up to Europa League this year, and you can even try to shake up a Bundesliga dominated by FC Bayern over the last decade. One of the Bundesliga's 13 original members, Kaiserslautern, is one of Germany's sleeping giants that are now on the rise. Fresh off of promotion from the Dritte Liga, K-Town have a history of rising through the ranks. Their most notable season came in 97-98 when they were fresh off promotion from the 2nd tier, and shock the world by winning the Bundesliga. A team that is new to career mode, Rot-Weiß Essen, are a fun save in the Dritte Liga. Although it's been 14 years since they were last at this level, they have history on their side. Club icon Helmut Rahn helped the team win the league in 1955 after a summer that saw him score 2 goals in the 1954 World Cup final. Can you help develop the next wave of German talent in this save? The Indian Super League was just added in FIFA 22, and I've chosen Krella Blasters for their consistent support from fans. Regularly drawing the highest league attendance, you'll be looking to secure them their first league title after they've finished runner-ups 3 times. After a few years away, Juventus are back and fully licensed in FIFA 23 career mode. New arrivals like Paul Pogba and Angel Di Maria will headline the squad as they try to make up for big departures including Chiellini and Dybala. Definitely try to win 10 Scudettos in a row, which Juve recently fell just short of doing. A welcome surprise was to see Serie B returning to career mode, and there are some solid picks here, but Como is my favorite with their signing of Cesc Fabregas and Patrick Cutrone. Managing finances will be important in your save as the club has gone bankrupt twice in the last 20 years. Korean players like Heung-min Son and Ji-sung Park boast impressive Premier League careers, but the Korean League also has a lot of history. With 7 league titles, Songnam FC have undergone a lot of changes in both their name and ownership. Now on the verge of relegation, can you turn around their future? International management is usually dependent on the club you're managing, but in a World Cup year, I had to mention the Netherlands as one of my favorite choices. A nation with so much history and iconic players, I'm shocked that they've yet to win a World Cup, but Holland has a decent chance of winning it all in 2022 with a nice combination of high-rated and high-potential players, making it a solid international save. And that makes a perfect segue to the Eredivisie. PSV have the second most league titles and just appointed a new manager with Ruud van Nistelrooy. With all the changes that Ajax have had and a good portion of the PSV team still intact, this could be the season that we see some shakeups in Holland's top flight of football. One of the strongest rebuild contenders in this list comes from Norway. Rosenborg were league winners from 1992 to 2004, but the Eliteserien has become much more competitive in recent years. In particular, you've got the rise of Bodo Glimt, who have surprised many on the European stage, making it to the late rounds of Conference League. Don't place your expectations too high at the start, as the first season will be all about developing the younger players in your squad. I've gotten a few requests to do a Legia Warszawa rebuild, and this could be the FIFA for it. The Polish club with the most league titles just saw a 10th place finish last season. You'll need to do a complete squad revamp if you want to avoid a bottom half of the table finish moving forward. There are a few options in Portugal for career mode, but among the big 3 teams, Benfica are my pick. Losing Darwin Nunez is a big deal, but some of their new signings like David Neres have stepped up and they're off to a decent start in the Champions League as well as Liga Portugal. Shamrock Rovers is becoming increasingly well known for developing top talents like Gavin Bazunu, who just earned a big transfer to Southampton over the summer. While they are the current best team in Ireland, the challenge will be to translate that to success on Europe's biggest stage and perhaps advance out of a Champions League group stage. Fun fact, FCSB won the European Cup in 1986, so the big goal for this rebuild will be to achieve the same feat. I think it's very much doable considering how many high potential players they have and the versatile options you can make for transfers. The Saudi Pro League has built up a respectable amount of quality players over the years, especially in the latter stages of their career. Al Hilal is my pick for career mode because although they've been successful, they have an aging squad and a transfer ban until summer 2023. Perhaps developing some youth academy players to rotate your team could be a solid option. The last team that wasn't Celtic or Rangers to win the Scottish Premier League was Aberdeen in the 1980s. Many know that this is where Sir Alex Ferguson managed prior to Manchester United, and Aberdeen could be a great stepping stone before moving to the top 5 leagues in a journeyman save. Barcelona are near the top of my list for a realistic FIFA 23 rebuild, and despite ongoing financial issues, they've managed to bring in an impressive array of players both on free deals and sound transfer fees. Hopefully you can develop some youth academy prospects through your La Masia Academy. Your goal will be to bring the club back to the top of the La Liga standings and one of the favorites to win the Champions League. Malaga had an impressive Champions League run during the 2012-13 season. Led by Isco among other emerging talents, they made it all the way to the quarterfinals before losing to Dortmund. Now in the second tier of Spanish football, it's time to develop some new prospects and try to maintain your squad, even if you're bound to lose out on some prospects to higher profile teams. Malmo are not only one of the top teams in Sweden, but they can also boast giving Zlatan the start to his legendary career. Eber's only likely to remain your save for 1 or 2 seasons, so I would return him back to the club where he got his start and make Malmo a consistent powerhouse. BSC Young Boys are Switzerland's team most in form, but the record for most league titles actually goes to Grasshopper Club Zurich. With ownership connections to Wolves, I think you could develop a unique transfer policy of homegrown players and underutilized talents for the Premier League. Galatasaray are usually competing for the Turkish Super League title, but that was not the case last season after finishing 13th. However, they've had a good transfer window, seeing the arrival of Dries Mertens, Mauro Icardi, and Yusuf Demir among others. Personally, I think they have a good chance of rebounding this year. We'll be ending our list with a club for the capital city of the United States, DC United. One of the original members of MLS, they were dominant from the start, winning 3 of the first 4 MLS Cups. They also made global headlines by signing then 14-year-old phenom Freddie Adu. If you go with this career mode, be sure to feature some Youth Academy promoted players early on and lead your club to the top of the Eastern Conference and MLS glory. I hope you found some inspiration from this video, and let's try to keep the conversation going in the comments section by letting me know which rebuild you'll be trying out in FIFA 23. Make sure to leave a like on the video if you enjoyed, subscribe to the channel if you're new, but until next time, this has been Flick. I'll be talking to y'all again soon.